All right, everybody, it's just a little past 7:30. Would like to ask everybody if they could make their way to their seats, and we appreciate y'all being here. This is our November City Council meeting, and it's time to call it to order. We do have a lot on the agenda tonight, but we have some very special people here that we're going to recognize at the beginning, and they're welcome to stay or leave after we're done, but I would encourage y'all to go home, because I know you have some children that have early bedtimes, and so appreciate everybody being here. First thing we need to do is the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm going to ask everybody to stand, and then Mr. Hicks is going to lead us in our invocation immediately after the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you bow our heads, please. Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight with a humble heart, seeking your guidance and your wisdom as we gather here tonight. Lord, we just thank you for the opportunity to come together here as a community. Father, we ask for your presence to be felt in this meeting tonight, filling our hearts with compassion and understanding and respect for one another, Lord. Lord, we just pray for discernment and insight as we discuss matters that we may need to go over here tonight for our community. Father, we ask for your blessings upon each of us present here tonight, that this meeting is actually strengthen our bonds as a unity, allow each person to value each other and our others' perspectives and contributions, Lord. Father, we just ask that we lift up our educators that are here tonight, but also we ask that you just watch over our students so they just know that they are loved and that they know that they are our future. Lord, we pray for our country. We pray for all of those that protect our freedom. We pray for the surrounding countries and for the peace within those countries as well. We offer all of these prayers in your holy name we pray, and everyone say amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. First item of action is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Motion to approve. Have a motion to approve from Mr. Hicks. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Rosal. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All right, next we'll move on to approval of the minutes. These are for the council meeting and executive session on October the 9th, as well as the work session and executive session on October the 2nd. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion from Mr. Cohen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Thatcher. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Very good. Next, we'll move on to our proclamations. Mr. Cohen is going to handle that.
Make sure we got everything here. Annually, in November and December, we recognize the local Teachers of the Year for the Lanier and North Gwinnett clusters. We're recognizing the cream of the crop. The schools are such a vibrant part of our community and why many move to this part of the county. Our involvement in the schools runs deep, and we support in every way that we can. When the schools are successful, we all benefit. Tonight, I will read proclamations on behalf of the mayor, council, and residents for the 5 schools of the Lanier cluster: Sugar Hill Elementary, Sycamore Elementary, White Oak Elementary, Lanier Middle School, and Lanier High School. We've spent a lot of time over the years interacting and helping at these schools, working hand in hand with them as they participated in Envision 100 planning and city educational activities. I know that these teachers take pride in educating and challenging their students. These 5 talented teachers were all named Local Teachers of the Year, and one of them is a top 6 finalist for County-wide Teacher of the Year. We're honored to have them as part of the Sugar Hill community and to recognize them today. So I'll read a general proclamation, and then we'll take a few minutes to talk about each teacher. So let's show them how important they are to each of us. Once we're done, we'll take a few pictures with the winners and their principals and their families. So our proclamation. Proclamation for Teacher of the Year 2025. And yes, Gwinnett County Public Schools said 2025. I'm not wrong. Whereas these teachers have been teaching their respective grade curriculums to Sugar Hill students at the schools in Gwinnett County for many years and have extensive teaching experience. And whereas these teachers are respected by both the school community and their peers alike, they have been recognized by Gwinnett County Public Schools as their school's Teacher of the Year for 2025. And whereas these teachers have spent endless hours in and out of the classroom teaching students and empowering them to think freely, they have also helped their students develop skills such as questioning, provoking, and challenging all things presented to them. And whereas they have engaged their students by producing innovative lessons that have real-life applications and have promoted learning to their students as a lifelong endeavor. Whereas the Gwinnett County Teacher of the Year program honors teachers who excel at representing the quality of professional educators in every Gwinnett County public school and exemplify the GCPS mission to pursue excellence in academic knowledge, skills, and behavior for each student. The expertise and reputation these teachers bring every day, especially in these challenging and uncertain times, reflect the expectations of Gwinnett County and helps promote an educated and vibrant local community. Now, therefore, the City of Sugar Hill Mayor and City Council do hereby acknowledge each of these teachers as their school's Teacher of the Year for 2025 and encourage all its residents to congratulate them on their accomplishments as one of Gwinnett County's finest educators. So proclaimed this 13th day of November 2023. So we're going to start off, Ms. Whittington, if you can grab me proclamations here. And I'm going to have the Mayor and Council come down so we can take the picture. Got to do these in a certain order. First up is Mr. Larry Layfield from Lanier High School. Larry teaches 9th to 12th grade science, chemistry, and food science. He's been teaching at Lanier for 3 years, and he's got 3 years of total teaching experience. Larry, congratulations. All right, and next up from the middle school, Jessica Ashley from Lanier Middle School. Now, Jessica's accompanied by her principal, Bryce Fulcher, and Jessica has been teaching 7th grade life science, 7 years teaching at Lanier Middle, and 19 years of total teaching experience. Congratulations. All right, now we're going to go to the elementary schools. From White Oak Elementary School, Seth Kuhn and his principal, Stacy Pickett. And while Seth's walking up here, Seth teaches K through 5 music, 14 years teaching at White Oak Elementary, 28 years total teaching experience. You're taking Stacy's place? All right. We have a stand and a All right, next up from Sycamore Elementary School, Paul Chong, with his principal, Kelly Scarborough. Paul teaches 5th grade math and science, 8 years teaching at Sycamore Elementary School, 8 years total teaching experience. Congratulations. Oh, another stand.
Where's Sanford when you need him?
And finally, from Sugar Hill Elementary School, Michelle Roll, with her principal, Dr. Nick Boyers. Now, Michelle's proclamation finishes off a little bit differently. It says, "Now, therefore, the City of Sugar Hill Mayor and City Council do hereby acknowledge Michelle Roll as the Sugar Hill Elementary School Teacher of the Year for 2025 and wish her luck in the finals and encourage all its residents to congratulate her on her accomplishments as one of Gwinnett County's finest educators." And I believe the final presentation is on December 7th, correct? Well, we wish you all the very best. Congratulations. Thank you, everyone, for indulging me on this one, and congratulations to all the teachers.
Everybody, thank you for giving us that moment to recognize our great teachers and their principals and schools and the families. All right, so next we're going to move on to reports, and we'll start with the city attorney, Mr. Hartley, who hardly ever has a report.
Thank you, Mayor.
I figured that. Next, we'll move on to city council, and I'll start with Ms. Thatcher.
For the sake of time, I have no report either. It's a full agenda.
All right, Mr. Cohen.
Oh, I absolutely have a report. Welcome, everybody. All right, we just got through an election cycle, so that's the big elephant in the room here. Some people are extremely happy with the results. Some are disappointed with the results. However, either way, change is inevitable. It's going to happen. It's part of life. In order for the city to grow, in order for us to grow as people, change is inevitable. The Greek philosopher Heraclitus reportedly said, "There's nothing permanent except change," and we're living it. I personally want to congratulate our new members of council, Josh, Meg, oh, there's Josh over there, Meg and Gary, and wish them all the very best. I hope they take the time to listen, learn, and bring their ideas and unique perspectives to the city. We as a community look forward to seeing what you bring to the table and the actions you'll take to continue making this such a great place to live, work, and play. So congratulations again. On to the arts. I got to thank Avery and Cam and Victoria and Chase, Heather, Madison, Alexis, the Arts Commission, staff, and the whole rest of the team. Sugar Rush was amazing. It was a lot of fun, and we spent 2.5 full days of arts. From Friday night's ABBA concert all the way through Sunday night's final awards. The city was vibrant, it was alive, and the arts were every place. People took part in a myriad of activities from theater, dance, music, live painting, food, crafts, gem panning, and so much more. This is really what we envisioned when we created the festival and the spaces downtown. Switching over a little bit, Lee and Hattie did a phenomenal job, especially with the weather and the last-minute changes with the Veterans Day celebration. For those of you who were at the Veterans Day celebration, we had to move it from the Veterans Memorial to the Eagle Theater because of the weather, but it came off flawlessly. It was spectacular. And it's one of the many ways that we as a community honor our veterans. I had the opportunity to participate in 2 other Veterans Day events, one at the American Legion on Saturday and one at Lanier Middle School on Friday, where I was accompanied by the commander of American Legion Post 127, and we talked about the veterans, Veterans Day, and democracy. Earlier, we recognized the Teacher of the Year from the Lanier Cluster, and just so everybody doesn't start calling me out later, we're going to recognize the best of the best from the North Gwinnett Cluster next month. Speaking of education, I'm really excited because later this week, I will be principal for a day at Twin Rivers Middle School, and I'm told that Twin Rivers Middle School mirrors the demographics of Lanier Middle School almost to a T. And the other thing is it, along with Lanier Middle and North Gwinnett Middle, are 3 of the top-rated middle schools in the county and in the state. So I'm excited about that. With that, from my family to yours, I'd like to wish each and every one of you a very happy Thanksgiving and hope you can spend some downtime with your family and friends. Enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Mr. Anderson.
Just a brief report tonight, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank Jane and her staff and the elections folks who put so much time and effort into the election season. Appreciate that very much. You guys did a great job. It was very well done. And congratulations, of course, to the winners of the election. Look forward to serving with you all in the coming years. Finally, my final report is regarding the Riverlands Authority. We met last week. On Wednesday, we toured the city property that is in front of the American Legion along Swanee Dam Road near Austin Garner. And we just went out there and walked that property. The authority wanted to see what that property looked like since that is city-owned property. So we took a tour of it. It was a brief. The sun sets awfully early these days, so we weren't out there for too long, but we did make it through the entire property. And that was all we did this month with the Riverlands Authority. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Mr. Rosal.
Thank you, Mayor. Good to see so many friendly faces out there tonight. I just wanted to start by sharing my heartfelt gratitude to our veterans and their families. One of the greatest honors of my life was being able to serve in the Army for several years in my early 20s. And, I can tell you that the commitment that our men and women go through to protect and serve our country is not one that's overlooked by this community. And I just want to express our heartfelt gratitude for those men and women, and again, those families as well. Second, really excited that we've got the city holiday celebration coming up on December 9th at 5 p.m. There's going to be opportunities for the whole family to enjoy downtown, to enjoy the ice skating rink will be open. I hear Santa's coming to town. There's always a great holiday market and a lot of other festivities. So I hope you'll mark your calendars for December 9th. Third, I have the honor of serving on the school council for Sugar Hill Elementary. And I'm just really proud to, we had our council meeting actually today. And hearing the amount of local field trips that they are prioritizing for the 2024 school year. So if you're sitting out there and you're wanting to get more involved and help serve in new ways, I'm sure there will be opportunities to help facilitate those field trips. They're always looking for volunteers. And it's a really great opportunity to help build some local pride with our kids throughout K through 12. Fourth, we've got the Touch a Truck this week, which is Thursday at the Landing from 6 to 7:30. So if you've got young kiddos, that's probably going to be a real fun event for them. And then last but not least, November is actually also Adoption Awareness Month. And so last year, 1,275 children were adopted in the state of Georgia. There is a continuous need for these children to find a forever home. If you want to learn more, there's a website, itsmyturnnow.dhs.georgia.gov. And I know for our family, who are recently adopted family, if you ever have questions or want to get involved, we are happy to help facilitate that as well. And that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Roswell. Mr. Hicks, you're up next.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a few things. I just want to ditto what Councilman Cohen mentioned on the Veterans Day ceremony, as well as Sugar Rush. To the staff and team, did an amazing job of coordinating and facilitating that. Cam, Hattie, Lee, Avery, Chase, Victoria, the Marshalls. They all was a really vital piece in the success of that. Also, the Trunk or Treat event, in addition to those two, was an amazing event. Just seeing the community out, the street blocked off for the families to be able to share time, but also not just the Trunk or Treat with the candy, but also patronize our businesses that were down here. So, an amazing job on that. The Digital Learning Day that we just recently had at the E-Center, I just want to applaud and thank. First, I want to actually thank Paul. You definitely, when this idea came to you some time ago when we first started doing Digital Learning Day, you actually took it to a next level and blessed it. And so I just wanted to thank you for that. This past one was an amazing outcome of kids and families there. Again, the council members are always there. The mayor is always there. The marshals and Sanford is there as well. But to have an amazing facility to be able to host such an event is applaudable. And I thank you, and the families thank you for that as well. So, but again, Paul, Darcy, the Marshalls, thank you. Marshall Parker specifically is always there, as well as KT. A couple other, the streets team. Right now, all the leaves are falling, right? And so everyone is picking that. So they're diligently doing their job, and I'm so gracious and appreciative of them, of what they do day after day as well for our community. Sometimes that's a thankless job, and so appreciative of them. I actually was out yesterday and kind of going to turn the table a little bit, and I got a notification, and I'm not a big social media on a lot of the platforms out there, but I got a notification from Ring of some gunshots in the area. And one of the things that our community is, and I love it so much, is that we're a diverse community. And a lot of times we need to be educated sometimes, or learn, or want to learn about the diversity that we have in our neighborhood. And if everybody's unfamiliar with it, this past weekend was Diwali. And so I want to actually say Happy Diwali to those that may celebrate it. But again, it's a good opportunity for us to kind of learn of all of the different diversities that we have within our community, so we're just not throwing out things that may be unknown to what may be celebrated within it. So just wanted to throw that out there. The North Gwinnett Co-op is definitely in a need. We're in a time right now where they're providing for families that are in need. They also are in desperate need of volunteers, especially on Monday nights from 6 p.m. They're in need of volunteers to help provide meals for the families that come there for grocery shopping. Youth Council. I want to just applaud them of their tireless work that they're doing as a team, but also for Avery, for Chase and for Victoria for the amazing job from the advisory side that they're doing week after week with that crew as well. And then lastly, tomorrow is a Dads on Tap event at Monkey Wrench Brewing in Suwanee. It's we're actually going to be talking about presence matters, speaking about men in the households, but also within the community as far as mentoring with our kids. So it'll be a great event with a great panel of people within the community from a men, so all dads and men and grandfathers. We would love to see you out there for that event tomorrow from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Food will be served. If you like beer, it's a nice place to come and try out different types of beer as well. So thank you for your time. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Hickson. I think I'm up next, and I do have a short PowerPoint presentation, but several members have whispered in my ear some things that have been forgotten, and so I just want to mention a few things while they're pulling up the PowerPoint. I first want to recognize Lanier High School, the football team. So they had their first round playoff game this past Friday night. One of the best football games that I've ever watched. They beat East Paulding by a score of 21-14. They now advance to second round against Roswell, which will be a much more difficult team, and they'll be playing at Roswell High School. I know a lot of the people from this community are going to go out and try to support the Longhorns, and so I just wanted to recognize them. They've had an amazing year. I think before the playoffs, they had a record of 8-2, and Coach Tyler Maloof is just doing a great job with the young men on that team. Also wanted to mention that on December the 12th, we will have a menorah lighting at the landing. That's something that Councilmember Cohen is involved with, and so I know that we'll be putting out some more details on that activity. And then just wanted to touch on the field trips that Mr. Rosel mentioned. I did have the chance today to meet with all three of the elementary schools, and they are planning some field trips in conjunction with the city that match their curriculum, and so we'll be talking about westward expansion, gold mining, leadership, and those types of things that will give their children the opportunity to experience field trips within the community that they live in, and I think that is a great thing. So next, I'll move on the PowerPoint. I have just a few slides. We had a lot of activities this year. I've talked about this group that Mr. Hicks and I are involved with. We've actually had 2 academies this month. This was the first one. Again, we picked some Lanier Middle School students that show some leadership ability, and we've got some great wraparound services applied to this program that's designed to support them in their education and to help their parents out as well. I'm very proud of it and thankful that Mr. Hicks has been taking the lead on it from a city standpoint. Next slide. Just wanted to talk briefly about the Sugar Rush Fall Festival that has been mentioned a couple times. I think this is one of the best years that we had. We had the Lanier High School band come in on Saturday and do a march down West Broad, and as you can see, the turnout for that was just absolutely fantastic. And then I cannot forget our competition with Suwanee. We did a food fight and challenged the city of Suwanee to that. It was very close. I think prior to the Fall Festival, we were actually slightly down, but we ended up winning by 125 pounds. I think the more amazing thing that is collectively, as two communities, we raised over 6,000 pounds for the North Gwinnett Co-op, and that's really worth the effort that we went through. To kind of end all of this, I'll be going to Sewanee's City Council meeting in late November. I have a City of Sugar Hill t-shirt that I'm going to present to Mayor Burnett, which he is going to put on, and it is a tie-dye t-shirt that I made at Sugar Rush, so it's going to be really cool. Thank you, Kaipo. Next, I've talked about these young men many times. Bryson Dover and Angel Cornejo, they started on the Lanier High School fishing team last year and together won the state championship. They are both seniors this year. They had their first tournament on Lake Hartwell, and they came in first place. And so they're having a great year. The state championship is actually on Lake Hartwell later this year. So I think there's a lot of excitement around these two men, and I just want to recognize them as much as I can. They're both great. They're doing well academically. They play sports. One of them wants to go to the Coast Guard when he graduates. They're just the very best young men that you could ever interact with, and so they're doing good things. And then next, I just wanted to thank Avery Simmons for spending time with the First Lego League, which is a robotics team from all three of our elementary schools. They spent a day here touring the downtown, visiting the Eagle Theater, and spending some time with other staff and with me. And Avery, appreciate your time with them. Next, these young men, it's just kind of a funny story. All of our All Pro Dad chapters, every time they meet, they do a raffle for lunch with the mayor. And I had this recently with some of the kids from Lanier Middle School. We were given the option to order Chick-fil-A, and so I ordered just like a number one, which is just a basic sandwich with a French fry in a water, because so these kids, they ordered that, and they ordered like milkshakes and all this other kind of stuff, and I was like, I should have ordered a milkshake. But we talked about everything that you can possibly imagine. Some of these boys, they play basketball, and we just talked about school and life, and it was just a really great experience, and I just wanted to acknowledge them because they're so outstanding. Thanks. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about Halloween and trick-or-treat on Broad. We had a great turnout this year. Again, I think it was one of the best that we've done in years. I also gave ghost tours, walking tours in our downtown. I did it over 3 nights and had about 80 people that came and did the walk. And so we had a lot of time just building community and getting to know each other as a community. Thank you, Kaipo. Next, we have some marshals here. I wanted to congratulate them. We participated for the first time in the Benton House Assisted Living Chili Cook-Off. Our competitors were the fire department, and there's a kind of a bias towards the fire department that they know how to make chili better than officers do, but somehow, some way, the marshals won the chili cook-off, and I wanted to thank Christian and Michael for the effort and the time that they put into that, and more importantly, the residents enjoyed us being there and spending time with them. And I think I'm getting towards the end. Just wanted to mention, some of you all were at our Ridge Lake Park ribbon cutting. It is a dog park, and so we encouraged pet owners to bring their dogs, and we had a great turnout. And of course, we invited some of the elementary school kids to participate in the ribbon cutting with us, and it was a fantastic event. Lastly, I think this is the last slide. Maybe not. I've got one more. Sorry. Councilmember Hicks has continued doing the Digital Learning Day at the East Center, and this is designed to coincide with the Digital Learning Days that happen within the school system. And so the real intent is to get these kids and their parents in here where they have connectivity through Wi-Fi, but we also have the opportunity to play basketball and just do some fun things as well. And we had a great turnout, and I expect it to be even better the next time we have one. All right. Is this the last one? Good. Sorry, I didn't realize how many I put in there. I just wanted to mention Crayfish Creek. We talk about that a lot. Crayfish Creek, the property is not our property. It belongs to the National Park Service, but we have established a very good relationship with them. And through their help, we've been able to do field trips for White Oak Elementary School, where we teach the kids about erosion and conservation of our natural resources. And so Mr. Hicks and I had the opportunity earlier this week to spend an entire day with 100 students from White Oak Elementary School, and they had a great time. And so thank you for your involvement in that as well. And that is the end of all my PowerPoint slides, and I appreciate your indulgence. Next, we're going to move on to Ms. Whittington, the city clerk, for her report.
Thank you, Mayor. For the Thanksgiving holiday coming up, the City Hall and the city offices will be closed November 23rd and 24th. And the city held the election on November 7th, 2023, right here in the council chambers. The results are not certified yet. They will be certified tomorrow, so I'm not going to read the results as we have them. They're located on our website. If anyone has not looked, they can see the unofficial results there. Tomorrow we'll post the certified results, and I defer over to the city attorney to explain the extension of that certification.
Thank you, Jane. Normally, state law would require that the city and county certify election results the Monday after the election, which would have been today by 5 p.m. However, Friday was a federal and state holiday known as Veterans Day. Because of the Veterans Day, even though it fell on Saturday, was observed by the state and federal government as a holiday on Friday. The Secretary of State's office asked for an opinion from the Attorney General about how that affects two dates that are controlled by state law. Those two dates being, one, the time in which County Board of Elections have to determine the validity of provisional ballots, and people have the ability to cure their provisional ballots, which is a 3-day period. And then, as a result of that date, the certification of the election. The Attorney General's office issued an opinion that said because Veterans Day was on Friday, the date to cure ballots for provisional ballots was moved until Monday. Therefore, the certification of the election was also moved by 1 day until Tuesday. Therefore, in accordance with the Attorney General's opinion, the results of the election, after provisional ballots are validated, will be certified tomorrow by 5 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Hartley. Ms. Whittington, is that the end of your report? Thank you. That was a very legal explanation. Next, we're going to move on to Mr. Radford, our city manager, and he most always has a report at our regular meetings.
I do, but I am, you can tell my voice is not the strongest it has been. So I am going to call on Avery and Troy, and then I want to call on Kaipo to give us, at the end, give us an update on the next steps of the Envision 100 plan, a planning process that I'm very, very proud of from my days in previous employment and the seriousness in which this council, and this community, and this planning staff has taken to get as much input as possible. But first, Avery, we had a real busy November. We're in the middle of November, and we got a real busy upcoming December. So if she'd come up and just give us a brief update, I'd appreciate that.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Last month, we held several successful events in Sugar Hill, including but not limited to the Jeff Allen Comedy Show, the Children's Theater's performance of Into the Woods, the Sugar Rush Arts Festival, which had the kickoff concert of Mixtape, and the Absolutely Fabulous Neon Queens, Trick or Treat on West Broad Street, and Rocky Horror Picture Show. November kicked off with the Players Guild's performance of It's a Wonderful Life, which concluded Sunday. The first of many Nutcrackers is currently in the theater. They moved in today and will have performances Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. After that, John Barry will come into town. He will do his performance on the 24th. Rounding out the month, we're looking at a Black Tie Symphony Night for Linear High School's Band and Orchestra, as well as the Concert and Jazz Band's annual performance that benefits Toys for Tots on the 28th. Looking ahead to December, there's something in the theater every day between rehearsals and performances. This year's holiday celebration, as Mr. Roswell mentioned, will take place on December 9th. There is a rental for a variation of the Nutcracker each weekend leading up to the week before the Christmas holiday. OTSCT, which is the Children's Theater, will be doing the best Christmas pageant ever. They will also do a performance of that at our holiday celebration. The Jazz Band and Joe Gransden will return for a holiday performance. Colin Ray will perform his Christmas and Hits show, and then we'll finalize our season with our annual Winter Break Bash. Any questions?
Thank you. Fantastic.
And Troy will give us a Public Works update as well as a construction update.
Thank you, Mr. Radford. I did want to hit a few highlights in the Parks and Recreation category. You've got a report in the back of the room which highlights a few of these, but I'll mention one that is not really mentioned very prominently in the report, which is our golf course continues to do extremely well. We had a dry October, which meant we sold a lot of rounds of golf, so we're doing very well. Also being able to complete a few repairs and maintenance projects at the golf course. We are also looking at closing in on the 20,000 member mark in our e-center, and so it's very successful and is an important place for our community to stay healthy. As was mentioned earlier, I do want to go ahead and highlight the Ridge Lake Park project, which we talked about, the ribbon cutting, one of our newest parks, which primarily serves as a dog park, but we do have some other improvements we are programming in another phase of construction at the park. So I'll just go through these slides real quick here. These are from probably August, September. The grass is browned out a little bit, and we're looking at some other punch list items with the contractor before we close out that contract. In terms of Public Works and our utility department, the gas department did add a significant number of automated meter readers, meter transmitters, I should say, to the system, which closes in on almost 10,000 of our accounts that can be read with this radio-based system. So we have, I think in the report, you'll see that we have just over 12,000 total accounts. So we're well on our way towards being able to read all of the meters electronically. We also, as was mentioned earlier, are picking up our yard debris collection program and curtailing our right-of-way mowing and maintenance activities for the season. So it'll take on more of a prominent role for our Public Works Department. I did want to mention that we've said a couple of times that we do have dumpster rentals available. So that's a good way to get rid of rooms full of large bulk items, but you can call that number and speak to our customer service department about renting a dumpster. In terms of other construction updates, I do want to go ahead and make my way to one of the projects that we just closed out recently, which is our roadway repairs and repaving program, which concluded with a significant amount of paving work downtown, and that included West Broad Street, Church, and of course a couple of driveways in the cemetery, which is also considered one of our downtown parks. We are about halfway through our contract with Omshiv Construction for the realignment of Alton Tucker Boulevard, and this will connect Highway 20 with West Broad Street next to the east end of the E-Center. It provides access to the downtown from Highway 20 and also to our E-Center parking lot. With this project, there is included in the scope of work a traffic signal at Highway 20 and Stanley. So there will be another stop-and-go opportunity for you on Highway 20 at Stanley Road. But it's a good way to break up traffic and also provides safe access for residents at that location. So you'll see that the contractor has completed curb and gutter pouring on this segment of the road, as well as installed gravel up to the West Broad Street connection and down to the E-Center. With that, I don't have any more construction updates, so I'll turn it back over to Kaipo, I think is next.
Okay, while I wait for the screen to come back up so I can share, just kind of wanted to remind everybody that this is a project that we usually contract out to a consultant, and for when we publicized that request for proposals, we only got one back, and it was over budget and wasn't as responsive as we needed it to be, so we decided to take the project on in-house. And I just wanted to, why is it not sharing? Say thank you for your support. Also that I'm really proud of the work that my team has done. Claire and Logan have done really great work, and I'm proud of what we've been able to accomplish together. Doing it that way, we were able to extend out the public outreach program and really reach the widest range of voices throughout the community. Okay. Fourth time's a charm. Okay. So what we're presenting tonight is just kind of a quick overview of the final review schedule. By Thursday this week, we will publish the plan to the city's website, and with a 2-week public review period for the community to be able to absorb the document and the recommendations, ending with a public hearing at 7:30 on Thursday, November 30th, City Hall here in the council chamber. This will give us time to collect and incorporate all the final public comments before the city council approves the plan and sends it out for regional review in December. For tonight, I'm just going to talk about a few of the sections: vision, housing, transportation, green space, and future land use sections. Each of the kind of the main topic areas, we've got kind of a consistent layout where we introduce the topic, go through the data elements, and then talk about the conversations that we had through the survey, roundtables, open houses, and the student event that we hosted late in the process. So talking about the vision, after analyzing what we heard, we crafted 4 statements to kind of supplement the updated vision statement. And so these are statements that together we're saying these are the things that we're looking for to the future. So together we build community is the first. So for a long time we've been a bedroom community of Metro Atlanta. In 1990, we had a population of less than 5,000. By 2010, we had over 18,000 residents, more than tripling our population. In spite of those 30 years of strong growth, we've got this thirst for a sense of community. And so that support for local business, gathering in community, looking out for each other, these are kind of the intangible qualities that showed up through the conversations we had that kind of define what Sugar Hill is all about and what we hope to set apart, what we hope will set apart kind of the Sugar Hill community experience. Together we build community. Together we foster innovation in land use, infrastructure, and technology for safe and efficient mobility options. Our cars and trucks are important to us. And in our daily life, the automobile has helped drive our suburban growth. And this has been a great thing for Sugar Hill. We've been able to grow in a way because of that technology. And because those vehicles are so important to our way of life, we experience traffic. Now, this was another one of the top concerns that we heard through the conversations and in the public involvement process, that automobile congestion. And it's a top concern because it's a source of daily frustration for most of us. And this led conversations about improving walkability, making better connections across the community, shrinking distances between amenities. Together, we foster innovation in land use, infrastructure, and technology for safe and efficient mobility options. Together, we prioritize public green space to provide a variety of opportunities to experience the outdoors together or in solitude. This was another thing that was almost unanimous consent. We love the green space that we have, and we also want more of it in the way of passive recreation, walking, running, biking trails, amenities that will bring us into contact with the more natural world around us, and also for informal community gathering. Together, we prioritize public green space to provide a variety of opportunities to experience the outdoors together or in solitude. Together, we support a healthy market with quality homes suitable for all while protecting the integrity of existing neighborhoods. So ours is a market that's dominated by single-family detached residential, and there's an acute sensitivity to the short supply of for-sale housing products. We also heard a visceral dislike for apartments and townhomes, and widespread concern over accessibility and the cost of housing, particularly when it comes to younger or smaller households and seniors. Together we support a healthy market with quality homes suitable for all while protecting the integrity of existing neighborhoods. So with those four kind of vision statements to supplement the actual vision statement, I'm just going to read what we've kind of distilled, what we think we heard should be the vision statement for Sugar Hill looking to 2039. As we will be a community where multiple generations choose to plant roots, residents and business leaders work together to create a thriving hometown for living out all of life stages, from growing up and establishing a career to raising children and retiring. Sugar Hill will be a place where all can flourish. So for the next kind of main topic sections that we've are working on developing, the first one is housing. And the data elements that we've got just show the dominant inventory, the inventory being dominated by a single family detached. our housing age. A lot of our houses are, our housing stock's in pretty good shape. It's, most of it is 20 to 30 years old. We do have a growing gap between kind of the home size. A lot of those are 2 or 3 bedroom houses, and while we do have a lot of families, we also have a growing population of 1 or 2 person households. Some of the things we heard in the conversations, on top of the dislike for apartments, was the concerns over prices and prospects for all generations. And we have worked to identify some needs and opportunities that will translate into the work program to address those topics of concern. So the needs for housing are to identify characteristics that aging seniors, young singles and couples, young families, and those with disabilities might be looking for, determine where gaps exist, which might hinder our ability to age in place, to document what is preventing adequate supply of homes for those at or below the median income, to identify areas vulnerable to disinvestment, and the opportunities we've identified are to demonstrate potential for a variety of single-family housing typologies in the right places, to improve connections among community members from all areas, and guide infill housing while preserving character of existing neighborhoods. For the mobility section, we heard, again, to reiterate, that traffic was a major concern, but people were open to walking and other modes if it could be made practical. Generally, we're supportive of expanding the Greenway, and we're split on transit. So those that were in favor support, those that were supportive of transit preferred micro transit and not the kind of traditional transit options. So for the needs and opportunities for mobility, we're looking to identify intersections and streets where additional traffic calming measures are necessary. Improve pedestrian and micro-mobility connectivity between activity areas. Micro-mobility is things like bikes, scooters, low-speed vehicles, golf carts, that kind of thing. Pedestrian crossings along Highway 20 between Sycamore Road and Swanee Dam Road. We have an opportunity to complete the Greenway and cross over Highway 20. More continuous, convenient, safe, and interesting pedestrian and micromobility facilities in key nodes and corridors, and anticipate evolving transportation technologies. Green space was a little bit simpler to interpret. As a community, we have lots of common ground here. This tends to be one of the things that people really love about Sugar Hill, love about living in Sugar Hill. And we also consistently heard that we want more, especially in the way of trails and informal gathering spaces. We're looking to prioritize green space through land acquisition, evaluate opportunities where conservation is appropriate, invest in more passive recreation amenities, and review policies to encourage more ecologically effective landscaping practices. To complete the Greenway Trail throughout the community is an opportunity, and to develop a strategy to activate existing green space holdings while considering upgrading amenities at existing parks to enhance access and user experience. and to facilitate flexible programming for gathering, community building, and events. The future land use section is a policy guide that paints the picture of the future. It helps us make the best use of land, which is growing more scarce. This section didn't change all that much. First, we have recommended unifying our neighborhoods, doing away with differentiating between what was labeled as an established neighborhood and maturing neighborhood in the character areas. We just have neighborhoods now in the recommended future land use section. And then some other minor changes to the future land use are renaming the industrial to employment areas. So we really don't have much industrial use. It's mostly a distribution and office warehouse type of uses. Renaming the Chattahoochee character area to the Riverlands character area. And then there was a section that ran parallel with Peachtree Industrial Boulevard between the railroad and Highway 20 and basically all the way down to Price Road that was labeled transition. We deleted that transition use character area and just made it what it was. There was a big section in the middle that was actually neighborhoods and didn't need to be transition. And on one end, we had the distribution center that was just built. And on the other end, we've got kind of a corner of between Lanier Avenue, the railroad, and First Avenue that has experienced a recent revival. We actually have a design review board case tonight that's in that area that we're recommending being the town center character area. And then just to differentiate between what is the downtown, when we talk about the central business district and all the building typologies that go with that, and just to kind of reiterate the boundaries of the town center and differentiate between the two development patterns. We've also got some discussion about corridor strategies and the ramifications of kind of filling in those gaps along Highway 20 and Buford Highway when we talk about building community. So the main points that we heard in the public involvement that we've reiterated in this land use section are the more green space, new dining options, better mobility, mitigate housing inflation, foster aging in place, and to reinforce that town center overlay, town center boundary. We'll also be submitting a short-term work program with the draft that we published to the website, and the rest of the Department of Community Affairs required elements are incorporated within these major sections if they're not named here in the table of contents, but we do have other elements that we have to do to satisfy those requirements. So just thank you for your attention while I went through all that. And we've got a 2-week public review period that's coming up later this week after we publish the draft. That'll have all the details, all the plans, all the recommendations, and the work program for the community to absorb. And we'll hold that final public hearing on November 30th before we general review.
Typo, thank you for doing that. I want to extend my thanks also to Claire and Logan and to you for all your hard work on this, as well as thank the community that participated either with surveys, at pop-up events, through the roundtables we had and the open houses, and Victoria, Chase, all those that participated in helping with the schools, each one of y'all that helped with the schools. Just a brief look back in history. In my previous career, I was involved in developing the planning standards that all cities and counties must go through to maintain their qualified local government status. And the planning process came as a result of fast growth in the state and conflict between the business community and what they wanted and what local land use and what cities and counties were wanting. So before that time, no city was required to plan. And the planning standards were put in place. And I am just extraordinarily proud of the fact that our city has taken this required task as an opportunity to fully engage the community and develop a plan that is dynamic and will help guide the community for the future to our 100th anniversary. But plans are plans, and they have to be updated. They're constantly changing, as was said earlier. And a plan that just is done and set on a shelf is not a plan, it's a document. A plan is one that becomes part of our daily life. So thank you very much for everything you do.
Thank you for the report, and I'll echo the sentiments. Thank you, Mr. Awana, and to your team for the great work that you put into it, and thank you for extending it so that we could incorporate, I think, more feedback from the community. I particularly enjoyed the 2 days that we spent with our students in the Lanier cluster that had the opportunity to provide feedback. Can you mention to us where it will be posted? I think it'll be posted on if you go to our webpage, there's a public notice section, and I think it'll be likely posted there. Is that the goal?
There is a project page for the plan itself, cityofsugarhill.com and Vision 100, and we'll publish it there, and then also notices and posts to the normal kind of information channels.
And can you mention one more time, was it November the 16th that it was going to be posted, or? Can we do it maybe a little bit earlier? Is that a possibility?
We will publish it as soon as we are finished.
I understand. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so before we get to the Youth Council, there's a couple of other things that I just wanted to mention and to talk about. So as a result of the election, we have 3 city council members that are going to be moving on. And it's a tradition, and I think it's courteous to recognize them, and we're going to be doing that at our December meeting. It is also traditional and I think courteous to swear our new council members in during the work session in January. So I just wanted to make mention of that to you also, that you can make sure that your calendars are available for you and your families. And so just be ready for that. There's a little quirky thing in that in our charter, in that their terms end on the 31st, but our charter actually specifies swearing in on the second Monday, but that makes no sense. And so I think we've always tried to do that at the work session. And so I just wanted to make mention of that to you all. So, and I think we have a youth council member here. And if I have misspoke, then it will be corrected at some point in time. But I think the plan is to swear y'all in at the work session. So, and we welcome our youth council members here. Hello.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Council. On behalf of the Youth Council.
And if you could, just state your name.
Sorry. I'm a little short, y'all. I'm Audrey Guerrero.
Doberman Elias.
And on behalf of the Youth Council, we want to tell you what we've been doing recently. So a couple weeks ago, the Black Women's Association of Sugar Hill hosted the BWASH event, and show us all of our candidates for the previous election. Congratulations, everyone. And it was really eye-opening, especially for me, to see what Sugar Hill is going through, and we, understood everything that goes on here and what's upcoming. We also had our team bonding.
Yep, we had our team bonding at Buford Corn Maze. We also went to the haunted house. It was a very unique experience.
Very scary. A lot of close hand-holding. That was really scary. We also have an upcoming Christmas Sugar Hill event, and we're doing a booth there for the young children. Are there any in here? Oh, so yeah. We're gonna be dressing as elves, or deer and an elf, so we'll be dressing my height that night. We were sent from Santa. And then we also have a Christmas team bonding celebration, and we're all gonna have a nice little Christmas party and just a lot of team bonding. And so we're getting really close, and it's really fun, and it's a lot of youth, and even telling our friends about it. There's a lot coming up and a lot to learn, and it's really fun. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for being here tonight and sitting through the meeting so far. All right, we are done with the reports, and it's time to move on to citizens and guest comments. And this is an opportunity for citizens or guests to have up to 3 minutes to talk about something that's on their mind related to Sugar Hill. And it is public comment. We don't engage in debate or in Q&A in this portion, but always appreciate everybody's feedback. So is there anybody that would like to take advantage of this citizens and guest comments? All right, we have none that I see, so I'll close that out. We have no items on the consent agenda, but we do have an item under old business, and I'll recognize Mr. Awana to talk about that. Item number 1.
This is a design review board request for the property at 1091 Level Creek Road. These are the elevations. They have submitted a darker blue that is referenced in the updated conditions. The request is for townhomes. The proposal satisfies the design standards for the overlay. Planning staff is recommending conditional approval with the site plan and elevations referenced in those conditions. This is a site plan that they've submitted since the last meeting to clarify the streetscape elements on Level Creek Road. And as it's drawn, they're showing a 4-foot landscape strip between the multi-use path along that frontage and the edge of the road, curb. And these are just the conditions that staff's recommended, referencing those exhibits, incorporating an art feature, further design review for the details of Level Creek Road, Roosevelt Circle, and the new Road A, which would be the Church Street extension, streetscape, and then improvements specified on Roosevelt Circle, as well as stream buffer restoration and installation for the sidewalk. Any encroachments needed to mitigate that.
Thank you, Mr. Awana. Can you go back to the new site plan? I just wanted to, it's hard to read the words on the site plan itself, but I think the rendering at the top right-hand corner basically describes the streetscaping that will be included if it's approved. And this is already an approved project, right? So we're just doing the design review.
That is correct. It was rezoned in 2018.
Okay. Before I open up public comment, I just want to ask and see if there are any questions from City Council. Mr. Rosal? No? Okay. Nobody? All right. Okay, so we'll move forward to public comment, and we'll start with the first 10 minutes, which is those that might be in support of the project. And if you could just give your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Julie Sellers, 1776 Peachtree in Atlanta, Georgia, here on behalf of the applicant. And I've got a very brief presentation. I know you all still have a lot of business to get to, so I'll give a very brief overview with just hitting on some of the details that we incorporated as we heard feedback at the work session and working with staff. If we can cue up. As the mayor indicated, this is a design review board decision. This is not about use or site plan or anything like that. So we are simply, not simply, very importantly, looking at the design elements and the elevations. In looking at this, this was the townhome portion of a plan that was approved back in 2018. So early on, worked with staff, looking at some different options for the townhome design that would be compatible with the construction around. So if we go to the next slide, one of the things that we heard loud and clear is the separation. And what you see on the left of the slide is the north side of Level Creek as that is currently developed. And what you see there is a 1-foot grass strip and a 5-foot sidewalk. And what you see on the right-hand side reflects what would be developed on Level Creek. And I did want to point out that the code would say a 3-foot landscape strip between the street and the sidewalk, keeping in mind that sidewalk is going to be a 10-foot path. So it's really going to elevate and change that whole experience, both for pedestrians as well as vehicles and just in the area along Level Creek. We've gone above and beyond, and we have, because there's space there, so we're putting 4 feet instead of the 3 feet to allow that additional separation between the road traffic and pedestrians that would be walking. On the next slide, this is just, again, just kind of showing the overall site plan. We do have the conditions, including the art element installation that we would be complying with. Again, this is, we're really focused on the design, which we'll go to in the next slide. Again, we looked at several different, and any of these presentations, the color, it doesn't truly come through, but what that color is, it's a darker blue than the original. Originally, we had submitted some just mostly white, neutral. We received some feedback, provided maybe some warmer colors. The original one was a little more of a lighter kind of tealish color and had additional feedback, maybe some darker palette. So that's what you see before you. Again, I don't want to rush through this, but I do know that you all have been reviewing this. We've been receiving feedback. We've been incorporating it. I am joined tonight with John Hillman, who is the applicant and developer. Happy to answer questions that you may have. I'd like to save time if there's any need for rebuttal, but certainly open to answering questions that you all have. And we really do appreciate the feedback through the process and working with the staff. So thank you.
All right, do y'all have any questions of the applicant? All right. So we're going to stop the clock.
Right.
And you have roughly 6.5 minutes left for rebuttal, but I also think it's a good opportunity to maybe answer some questions that come up through public comment that we're not able to answer. So
Absolutely.
So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I must ask though, is there anybody else here to speak in support of the project? Okay. All right, so next we'll move on to the other 10 minutes. and that is for individuals that would like to speak in opposition to or express concern about the application. And I'm going to reset here, and I'll be ready to start if there is anybody. A split screen would be great. All right, I don't see, yes, ma'am. And you're welcome, just make yourself at home, and if you don't mind, just give us your name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Taylor Hawk. I'm with 360 Residential, one of the developers on 360 Sugar Hill Apartments, which is at 1100 Peachtree Industrial Boulevard, the new multifamily project going in right down the street. So I just had a couple of questions of clarity, if that's okay.
Yes, ma'am. We're not able to answer questions, but we can hold those questions, and they can be answered during rebuttal.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Sorry. Yes. Okay. That's what I thought. So first of all, is this going to be rental townhomes? Is that the understanding? Then just ask all the questions I have? Okay, cool. Just wanted to know a little bit more about the details of the information of Roosevelt Circle and fitting in the streetscape there and lights, street lights. Wanted to know if this was if it is rental professionally managed, or how the management of that would work. And then if there was a unit mix with any square footages. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak in this section? All right. I hear none, so we will close it out, and I'll call up the applicant for the rest of her time. Sorry, it's hard to manage a clock, a button,
Yes.
and being focused on the speaker.
Sure.
Apologies.
Thank you. Mayor and council, just briefly in rebuttal again, happy to answer questions. I think what we heard from the 360 representative, that was more focused on use, not on the design, elements that we're here for tonight. So, we are here. We've worked really hard on the design and ask for your approval.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, Mr. Rosal, you have a question of the applicant?
Ms. Sellers, just one question. Ms. Hawk did ask about the streetscape along Roosevelt Circle as far as streetscape and elements of that sort of thing. I know we walked through what Level Creek looks like. Can you perhaps speak to the design standpoint of Roosevelt Circle?
Sure. On Roosevelt Circle, the townhomes do face Roosevelt Circle, and that will be improved with sidewalk, landscaping, street lighting, and everything. And I think that's in condition 4.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else?
Hey, Julie, quick question or recommendation. Have you had an opportunity to sit down with the Arts Commission to talk about that arts piece?
We have not yet had an opportunity. We are hoping for approval tonight, and that will certainly be one of the first things that we do to kick off moving forward with the process.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? All right, we will close out the rebuttal time. And I'll ask if there's any questions of Kaipo before I ask for a motion.
Yeah, I have one question there.
Okay.
So just on the kind of following up on Mark's piece on the arts piece, and it's stated that the developer would like to make a monetary contribution of $25,000 to the city in lieu of installing improvements. Cap, what is that $25,000 used? Well, how could we use that in lieu of?
That's purely for the arts installation. If they install something, or they make the city, the Arts Commission.
To put it on the, I got it. Okay, thank you.
All right, so we're done with the questions. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve Central Business District Design Review 23-002 with the 5 conditions as stated.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Cohen. Is there a second? Second. All right, a second from Mr. Hicks. Any further discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. Okay. All right, next we'll move on to new business, item number 2. Mr. Owana.
This is a design review board, Town Center Overlay Design Review Board on Whitehead Road. The applicant, Jim, is proposing to remodel an existing home, existing one-story home into a 2-story house. The proposal is compatible with nearby recent development and the design standards of the overlay. And they have also agreed verbally to incorporate the sidewalk improvements along Whitehead Road, along that frontage. And we've memorialized that in the recommendations with the exhibits. Staff's recommending conditional approval, essentially just with the referencing those exhibits as attachments.
Thank you, Mr. Owana. Before I open up public comment, are there any questions of Mr. Owana? All right, so we will open up public comment. I'll start with the first 10 minutes for those that would wish to speak in support of the application, which again is typically the applicant, but they don't have to speak. Ms. Sisson, welcome. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Faye Sisson, and my address is 5107 Sunset Drive in Sugar Hill. I am actually 3 doors from the proposal, and many of you have seen me walking my little gray dog downtown. When I do that, I see 2 new constructions and at least 4 to 6, depending on our route, remodels in this area. I think this is absolutely in keeping with the things that we see going on down Spring Hill and down Whitehead Road.
Thank you, Ms. Sisson. Is there anybody else that would like to speak? Yes. We've got a tie. Mr. Perkle, you're welcome to come up.
Yeah, I just had a question, not really for or against this, but on the back of the development handout, it talks about the sidewalks down Whitehead Road, which they showed in that illustration there, that if you're coming from Whitehead from the Swanee Dam Road direction, trying to make a right on Spring Hill Drive, that's a horrible corner there where that drain is. You have to go in the other lane to get on the road, basically. So I don't know if it needs to be considered the corner. This is on the opposite side, but I think that needs to be reworked somehow. There's a drain right there, and so anyway, you just may need to make some allowances that there could be room to adjust the road or whatever to try and correct that situation.
Thank you, Mr. Perkle. We'll respond to that at a later point. Thank you. Is there anybody else? And again, this is on the support side, and yes. Y'all got up at the exact same time, so.
My name is Jim Wassall. I'm the applicant and owner of the house. And
yes, sir.
To do this remodel, so I just want to thank you guys for consideration. We feel like this modern farmhouse design is going to be a really nice addition to the community. There are similar homes to it, as stated before, on the street, and we're excited about being a part of that. So glad to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak in this first 10 minutes? All right, we'll close out this portion, and we will move on to the last 10 minutes for those that wish to speak against or express concern about it. Is there anybody that falls into that category that would like to speak? All right, I hear none, so I'll close out that portion of the comment period. Mr. Awana, I will ask if you would mind responding to the sidewalk question. Let us know if there's a way to address that, what we have before us.
Being on the other side of the intersection, not sure it impacts design for this subject property, but
It's okay if
we'll
you can't
consider
answer
it
the
when we-
question. You can't answer the question. Good deal. It was asking, we just wanted to be courteous and answer it if possible. All right. I will, before there's a motion, I'll just ask if there are any questions of Mr. Awana.
Just one question, Mayor. I'm seeing on recommended action number 2, developer shall provide a 5-foot sidewalk along Whitehead Road. The current sidewalk is at 3 feet? Is that what the current sidewalk is there? 4?
4, I think.
4, okay. Okay, so there will be some improvement in widening of the sidewalk, at least along the subject property. Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else before I call for the motion?
Mayor, may I ask for a clarification? My packet has exhibits 1 through 5 and then exhibit 6. But when I look at my packet, it appears to me it should be exhibits 1 through 4 and number 1, and number 2 should be exhibit 5, unless I'm missing an exhibit.
I'll have to defer to Mr. Awana on that.
That is correct. I renumbered some of the exhibits, so the 5th exhibit should be the sidewalk and easement exhibit.
Yeah, so number 1, in your conditions, number 1 should be exhibits 1 through 4, and then number 2, that should be exhibit 5. Just wanted to clarify that for the record before we got to a point where there was an exhibit that didn't exist.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Hartley. Are all of y'all clear on that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, is there a motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve TCO Design Review 23-001 with the 2 recommended actions, although changing number 1 for exhibits 1 through 4, and number 2 referencing exhibit 5.
All right, thank you, Mr. Anderson. I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Rosel. Any further discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. And thank you, Mr. Hartley, for the clarification. All right, next we'll move on to item number 3 on Lanier Avenue, and that is also Mr. Awana.
This is another town center overlay design review request at 4862 Lanier Avenue. The Lancaster family is proposing to subdivide an existing lot and place a new house for the family on that corner. It will be a 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch in a similar style to what we've just seen. And this design is compatible with the design standards and the existing and emerging character of the area. Staff's recommending conditional approval for those elevations and the site plan.
All right, thank you, Mr. Awana. Any questions of Mr. Awana before I open up public comment?
No.
All right. We will start with the first 10 minutes for those that wish to speak in support of the application. Is there anybody here that would like to do that? And if you
Good
could,
evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Brian Lancaster. My daughter Brianna. We are the applicants. We're seeking approval to build this 1,300-foot, single-family, single-story house on the corner of Lanier Avenue and 2nd Avenue. There's no minimum lot requirement. It's in the town center overlay, but we meet all the setbacks, and the house meets the minimum square footage requirement of Sugar Hill. We're hoping that Brianna can have her and her husband can have a place to start their life and invest their money and start a family. And we appreciate the consideration.
That's why he's doing this.
And I think it'll make a great addition to the neighborhood.
thank you, Mr. Lancaster.
Thank you very much.
Any questions of the applicant while we have
You
them up
said
here?
it in a public forum, too, so now you're stuck.
You put her on the record, no doubt about that.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. All right, is there anybody that would wish to speak in this particular time frame? All right, I don't see anybody, so we'll move on to the 10 minutes for those that oppose or have a concern about the application. And I don't think there'll be anybody in that category after that comment that he made. All right, one last call. Okay, so we will close that out. Again, before we move on, are there any questions of Mr. Awana based on what we've heard so far? All right, is there a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve TCO Design Review 23-002 with the one condition: final design shall substantially resemble the attached exhibits labeled Exhibit 1 through 2.
I have a motion from Mr. Cohen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Thatcher. I was gonna add another requirement of a child, but we won't do that. So, all right, I have a motion and a second. Any further comment before I call for the vote? All right, all of those in favor, raise your right hand. We will now move on to, sorry, this is a lot of public hearings tonight. We'll move on to item number 4 on Sweet Laurel Run. Mr. Awana, that is you as well.
This is a request for variance at 6481 Sweet Laurel Run for a rear setback encroachment to build a 2-story addition on the rear of the home. This started out as an existing deck that the owners went into repair, and the scope of the project grew into an addition. So it was after the construction began that the need for the setback variance was made clear. They're asking for a 17-foot rear setback for this, an 18-foot rear setback improvement for the improvement. And there was an existing open deck. They're proposing to enclose that upper story. The windows are placed relatively high. It appears from staff's point of view that the privacy is enhanced between the two neighbors. We did receive a letter of support from a couple of residents in the neighborhood. The property owner that resides behind the subject property came to visit me moments before we started the meeting and handed me some papers. I think they'll want to go through and describe their comments for you. I have not had a chance to fully absorb that, so it looks like those are comments in opposition. So I wanted to let you know that we have that new information, but staff's recommendation to this point is approval of the variance with the following, with those, the conditions referencing that plan and that site, the site plan and the elevations for that rear addition.
Thank you, Mr. Awana. Mr. Hartley, a quick question for you. Since we have not started the public hearing on this, could there be an option by City Council to table this until the applicant and the neighbor have an opportunity to kind of maybe discuss the concerns?
Mayor, if that's what the council wants to do, you could certainly do that. There is an advertising requirement related to these. If you do not hold the public hearing tonight, you would have to re-advertise it. If you hold the public hearing this evening, then you could table it after the public hearing to your next meeting, and re-advertisement would not be required.
That sounds like the better option, the second one. Let's go ahead and move forward with the public hearing, and we can consider that if council desires to do so. Mr. Awana, are you done with your report on it? Any questions of Mr. Awana before I start public comment? All right, I hear none. All right, we will begin with the first 10 minutes, which again is for those that wish to speak in support of the application. Is there someone here? Very good. And we've got a couple people that have, which is the applicant?
So I'm Steve Harmon, I'm the applicant.
Yes, sir, thank you.
481 Sweet Laurel Run. Are we able to show the PowerPoint? We have a new one if we have our laptop, if we can run the PowerPoint. Yes. Plug it in right here. So we would like to thank the mayor and the council for allowing us to present this to this evening. So before we started this process, we were unaware of what a setback is. We were unaware of that when the builder built our house, they only left us 1 foot and 6 inches to put something to get out of our back door from upstairs. So the pictures, can y'all see the pictures also? So this first picture here shows you that this was the existing deck that we were permitted to build in 2012 with a permit through the city. We did not know that we needed to re-permit it because the deck had a screen porch underneath it, and over time, that moisture built up and caused all the joists to rot. So when we started to pull it off to do a repair, it was something that was unrepairable. So one of the solutions was to, and this is just the other side, just to show you the deck and the screen porch underneath. And this is from the back side, showing you the screen part of it. Anytime we had anything down there, we put up curtains just so we can acknowledge the privacy of ourselves and our neighbors. So it's not something that we intentionally try to interfere with the neighbor's privacy or our privacy. So we installed curtains anytime we had any function in that screen porch beneath. We also had this installed too, was a privacy fence. So as you're on the bottom level from that screen porch, you look out to block, again, privacy for us and privacy for the neighbors behind us. This is just the document once we started to pull off that underdeck and how bad the joists were that couldn't be repaired. And this is somewhere we tried going in over the years. This was a 10-year span of this deck rotting out. So it got to the point we couldn't even walk on it anymore. So something had to be done with the decking. We didn't want to go back with underdecking because we didn't want to have the same problem here in another 10 years. So the solution was to just put a roof over the deck and enclose it, and that'll keep the water from going beneath into the screened area. Our house already faced their house too. This is a window looking a view from our kitchen seating area directly at their house. So that it's always been there as far as a view. when you look out of that window, you can see their house there, but there's a full line of Leland cypress and white oak trees that provide a natural buffer between the houses. This is just another view. As you look through there, you see all the vegetation and the green trees that basically blocks out a portion of that view. This is what we had started up until the point we found out that, hey, based on this, you can't use that area. We had to go through this, so we stopped at that point so we can start the process, so we can basically do the right thing with the permitting and getting this how it needs to be done. But once this is completed, with your favorable vote it will match the existing rear of the house. Some of the things we took in consideration was we had the walls built at a 48-inch height, and we put a distance of just a blank wall so you couldn't, again, directly see into the neighbor's property. If someone's sitting there, they're sitting below the window, so you can't see out of it unless you actually get up and go and walk over to that window to see out of it. This is just some other areas when it came to concerns about the distance between the houses. Again, this was all approved through the builder when they built the subdivision. So this is a house on Grand Magnolia. There's only 16 feet between the two houses. Another example of houses within the community, there's only 18 feet between houses. This one's 23 feet between the houses. This one's 10 feet between houses, 18 feet between the houses, 25 feet between houses, 24 feet between the houses, and this is where you see our house on the road. You see the greenery that separates that natural buffer between us and the house directly behind us. So it's not something that is just house to house. We have that buffer space there. And you can see with that buffer space and the distance between the houses is 28 feet. Also, this is the site plan that we received back in September, and it shows you that with that existing porch that was already there, there's 18 feet from the property line. And this one shows you once this addition is completed, it will still be within that same footprint, and it's again 18 feet from the property line. So we have support of several members of our community too, and we're looking to get a favorable decision from the council because we feel as though this would be something would benefit and add privacy for us and the neighbors directly behind us. And thank you for your time and hearing us on this matter.
Absolutely. Are there any questions of the applicant? Thank you for a good presentation. All right, we have roughly 5 minutes left in this category. Want to save a little bit of time for rebuttal, but I know there's another gentleman that maybe wants to speak in support of the application. Please come forward. And if you could just give your name and address for the record.
My name is Lee Anderson. I live at 6492 Sweet Laurel Run. I'm his immediate neighbor. And I'm in support of Mr. Harmon. So as he pointed out with a good presentation, there is a line of trees that is very thick, these cypress trees. Mr. Harmon is known in the neighborhood for taking just immaculate and amazing care of his property. It makes one have property envy because he nurtures his yard. It's well known in our immediate area, and it inspired me to beautify my property as well. So I want to be neighborly and I want to be supportive. I have no objections to what he's done and what he's trying to do. Doesn't offend any sensibilities. He's beautified his property. He's going to continue to do so. And I encourage you all to consider approving his proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. We have just a little over 3 minutes left in this category. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak?
Hi, I'm Molly Stone. I'm at 6424 Long Ivy Way. I'm
a neighbor of Steve and Sonia's, and I was excited when I saw their project going in. Professionally, I work as a real estate agent, so improvements in our neighborhood are great for our property values. I also value them as neighbors who take great care of their property. They have a lovely lot. They've always maintained it very well, which of course is great for us as neighbors and also increases the value and attractiveness of our neighborhood. So I am in support of their project and appreciate your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Stone. Is there anybody else that would like to speak? All right, we will close out that portion of the public comment, and we'll move on to those that might have a concern with or that would like to speak in opposition to the application. And if you could just give your name and address for the record, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jacob, and we are the adjacent neighbors. We are the closest neighbors to Mr. Steve. So I just want to put Mr. Steve at ease. We're not completely, against this, but we would like a couple of accommodations, please. And again, I agree that Mr. Steve, he takes care of his property for the most part all around, but I have pictures of the area between our house and his, which is our deck and his deck, and the trees are unmaintained. They're falling over our roof. The trees are actually dying off. I have pictures of this. So the privacy concern that we have is not so much the first floor, and we love that he put in a fence. We never had a problem with the fact that he has had this kind of stone barrier in between our properties. But the issue is the second floor, when he makes the windows higher and this structure is now built. It's halfway built, by the way, without a permit. And I was the one who actually called the city and said, hey, can we make sure we have a permit for this, And when I have pictures of our bathroom, which is facing this new structure, and what's happening is if you're going into the tub, if you're going into the shower, it is a direct view of these two windows where we saw on Steve's presentation. So we don't have any problems with the structure, even though it's coming awfully close to our property, and I have some safety concerns about fire, about the water drainage, how it's gonna come off into our property. But all of that aside, I think our biggest concern is just privacy. When we go into our bathroom, we expect not to pull the blinds every single time, or when we have grandkids visiting, we just don't wanna take any chances where they're going into that bathroom and the windows are so close together. So I think there's windows all around this structure. If we can just make sure that there's no windows on one side, on our bathroom side, that's the only kind of accommodations that we ask for. And that's it.
Thank you for your comments. And this is not meant to be critical in any way, but I know this has been advertised for some time. Did you reach out to the city at all within the last couple weeks? And
I've had some conversations. I've had some emails back and forth with Hector. We've had some emails back and forth, and I've also had conversation with Steve himself, but we haven't gotten anywhere in those conversations. And really, I see that for the need for a variance is, if the property is having any extraordinary hardships without this variance, and this is, as far as I can see, this is just a want. This is not a need. And if you look at this property from the top-down view, on both sides, there is a lot more room to have made this structure, but for some reason, it was just built very close to the nearest property to our backyard. So, all that aside, like I said, I don't want to be on bad terms with my neighbor. I want to be on good terms, and I'm not against this, but we just would like our privacy, especially in the bathroom. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anybody else that would wish to speak in opposition or express concern about the application? All right, I don't see anybody, so we will close out that portion of the time. There is a little bit of time left, I think several minutes for rebuttal, if you'd like to come back up. And
So as far as concerns about why that side of the house, because that side of the house is what leads from the back door. So without something there, we would not be able to access the house. It's a ranch with a basement, so that door and that enclosure is what leads us to get out the back door. And as far as concerns about water and drainage, we have an underground system that will take the water from that out to the rest of the yard where it goes not to their house and onto their lot. So all of that has been done, and it will tie into the existing drainage that's there. And again, as far as the privacy, our kitchen window that I showed in the preview already faces that side of the house. I didn't even know that was their bathroom until they brought that up to us, that that was their bathroom. And again, we're not there all day just looking out to see who's in the bathroom. Even with the open deck was there, and you can see more of that window than having it closed in and only having a 48 by 48 window there on the ends of that side of the house. Thank you.
Thank you. Cannot, actually, we closed the public comment portion, and it's his time to speak. Would you be willing to work with your neighbor over the next month to maybe address some additional concerns or?
I don't know what else we can do because, again, we put in that privacy fence, and that privacy fence was within the guidelines of the HOA. And as far as upstairs, we made the wall higher, and we moved the one. We wanted windows all the way along that back, and we ended up moving them to the ends. So there's really not a lot else we can do to give them more privacy. And two, the windows that will have blinds on them that are going to be open 24 hours a day. So.
I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, is there a motion? And excuse me, I will close out that portion of the time and ask if there is a motion.
Can I ask a clarifying question? So in the work session, I got the impression that the deck or the structure as it exists now, as it's being built, was larger than the previous deck, but the applicant said that it was the same footprint. Is it, like, which is the correct type of?
All right, so let me make a statement here. Public comment has closed, and it doesn't create good order when people just stand up and shout out, and so that's not how we run meetings here. But and I say that in a very polite way. Mr. Wana, are you able to answer that question for Ms. Thatcher?
Yes, I can. I can try to clarify. So the existing condition, there's an outdoor terrace at the ground level, which is the kind of the footprint that the addition is included in that entire footprint. The initial footprint for the deck itself and the enclosed portion underneath is smaller than what they're proposing currently.
All right, anybody else before I call for a motion? Is there a motion?
I just have more comments than it is a question, but I mean, looking at this from a practicality standpoint, I mean, it was a wide open deck previously, so it seems like there's actually a lot more privacy now than there was when that was a wide open deck. I think it appears to me the applicants made a good faith effort to provide a level of privacy, some privacy back there by having a limited number of relatively small windows back there as opposed to a wide open deck. I understand the neighbors' concerns over it, but that's something that has existed since this house has been built, with them having a second floor facing that window in their house. So I personally don't see I would hate to delay their project a month going into some tougher weather over something that I don't think is going to get resolved. So I'm willing to make a motion unless there's any other questions or comments from council.
Yes.
So I'm looking at this image with the 10-foot wall between the windows, and maybe this is a question for you, Kaipo, and if you can answer that, understandable. My question is, if the primary concern is privacy to the bathroom window, are either of these windows on the left or the right directly facing the bathroom window? And if so, could this be rectified with something as simple as moving one of those windows so it's not directly in line with the bathroom window to mitigate that concern?
I'm unable to speak to direct line of sight, but those two windows that you're seeing kind of on the right-hand side of that image are on that rear elevation. So shifting them to one side or the other does not do what you're asking.
I think he answered it to the best of his ability. All right. Any more comments or questions before I ask for a motion? All right. Is there a motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve variance 23-002 with the one condition.
All right. There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Hicks. Any further comment before I call the vote? All right. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All right. Thank you. All right. Next, we'll move on to item number 5, which is a license for beer and wine, and that is Ms. Whittington. And this is not a public hearing, right? Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, the city received an application for a beer and wine retail and a convenience store that's located on 4591 Old Swanee Road. The applicant is 4591 Sugar Hill Inc., Kevin Dashi, who is requesting this license for his convenience store. It's for beer and wine only. We talked about the hours and attached some of the sections of the code that reflect consideration by the council since it's a new retail application. Also, wanted to also state that in the motion, if it was approved, that the applicant has a registered agent reflected here that is not within Gwinnett County address. You'll need to correct the registered agent before the license is issued. Also today, I received someone who came in to voice a concern who was unable to make it tonight. Ms. Diaz, who lives directly behind the property, and she just had concerns about the traffic and how people pull out of there.
Thank you for the presentation. Are there any questions of Ms. Whittington before I open up public comment?
Everything within the application meets the terms of our ordinances.
Except the registered agent. Correct.
Okay.
So that would have to be, that, if we were to approve this.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for the question. Any other questions before I open up public comment? All right, we will start with the first 10 minutes, and that is for those that wish to speak in favor of the application. Is that individual here? Would they like to do so, the applicant? And if you could just give your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Kevin Doshi. I am the owner of the business. And you said the address? Oh, my address, 6231 Run Tucker.
Okay.
I hear the concern about the address. I am going to be changing it soon. I will be moving towards the inside the community itself. Right now I'm living in Tucker, which is like 40 minutes away. So I am trying to look for a house and then trying to shift and then change the address itself. If there's any other questions or concerns, I'll be happy to answer.
All right, any questions of the applicant while we have them up here? All right. No, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is there anybody else that would like to speak in this portion of the time? Yes. And this is for support of the,
Yes.
yes, ma'am.
I guess you
Thank
could say that. I'm Meg Avery at 4575 Forest Green, and I just wanted to let you all know I did go out to this establishment, and the inside of the store is very clean, very organized. There are plenty of security cameras, both inside and outside. A couple of things that did surprise me on the application, it's listed, and I checked with Jane, as 4591 Sugar Hill, Inc. The name of the store is actually Sugar Hill Food Mart, but the paperwork is different name, but it's the Sugar Hill Food Mart. Also, this establishment is on the corner of Old Swanee Road and Chile Drive. The notice of application for the alcohol license was actually on Chile Road, which kind of surprised me because it's listed at Old Swanee Road. So I think people going up and down Old Swanee Road really don't know that there's an application for beer and wine. And the front door of the store is actually on Chile Road. It's at that intersection of Chile, Price, Old Swanee. So I guess I just was surprised by that. I think the owner is young and ambitious, and I hope this works out for him. I voiced to him I would like to see more groceries at this store because that's one of the older neighborhoods in Sugar Hill, and we're not that close to a Publix or a Kroger, so I personally would like to see more groceries, but I realize that it's more of a convenience store and beer and wine does get sold there. So I think I'm okay with that. But I was just kind of surprised at the location of the application billboard on Chile instead of Old Swanee. So I guess it's okay.
Thank you, Ms. Avery. And I do realize that sometimes comments don't necessarily fall into one of the categories necessarily, so thank you for choosing the right category to speak in. All right. Anybody else in this portion of the time? All right, I don't see anybody, so we'll close that portion of the time out and we'll move on to the 10 minutes for those that would like to speak in opposition to or express concern about it. Noting Ms. Avery's concern from the first time. All right, I don't see anybody, so we will close that portion of the time out. And I'll ask Ms. Whittington, do you have any clarification points based on any comments that were made?
No, Mayor.
All right, any comments or questions from council before I call for a vote? None. All right, is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve the license for beer and wine retail sales for the business 4591 Sugar Hill, Inc., located at 4591 Old Swanee Road in Sugar Hill, with the addition of the license cannot be issued until the registered agent address is updated to an address within the county limits.
Okay. A motion has been made. Is there a second? Have a second from Ms. Thatcher. Any further discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand.
Unanimous.
Very good. All right, we are done with our agenda. Is there a need for executive session?
There is, Mayor.
All right, do you think we'll come out and take action after that executive session?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
Motion to go into executive session for legal, real estate, and personnel matters.
I have a motion from Ms. Thatcher. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Rosal. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All right, we will go into executive session and come out when we're done.
Sugar Hill, Gwinnett County Tax Parcel R7291024, from Charles S. Matthews, for the purchase price of $320,000. Further, move to amend the fiscal year '23 budget to transfer this amount from unrestricted reserves to land acquisition.
Very good. We have a motion. Is there a second? Second from Mr. Rosal. Any discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. All right, and that is all that we have to take up. And so is there, I'm going to do it right this time. Is there a motion to adjourn our city council? I have a motion from Ms. Thatcher, a second from Mr. Cohen. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All right, we are adjourned.